Solving rational equations. Remember, get rid of the denominators by multiplying the LCD to each term. So what does this mean? Let's go to example number 1. So let's take a look at this. So this is 6x squared, 3x squared, and x. Notice that the x is in here. The 3x squared is also in here. And of course, 6x squared is in itself. Therefore, the LCD, or the least common denominator, and the keyword is common, the least common denominator here is 6x squared. So how would you know once again that it's the LCD? It is the LCD if it contains all the other denominators in it. So what we're going to do right now is we will multiply all these by 6x squared in order to remove the denominators. Okay, so whenever that happens, this cancels out and turns to a 1. In this particular case, the 3 and the 6 cancels out, and there's a remaining 2 on top, but the x squared and the x squared cancels out. This, however, x is canceled out, and there'd be 6x right here. All right, so let me explain this once again. So right here, you're just left with 1. This is equal to 6x squared divided by 3x squared is just a 2. Then the minus sign is copied down. Then 1 over x times 6x squared is going to give you 6x. And so now we're going to solve for x, and there are really many ways here to approach this problem and isolate your x. In this particular case, I will keep the negative 6x here on this side and remove the 2. And the way to remove the 2 is to minus or subtract the 2 on both sides. All right, so these are additive inverses, so they cancel out and become a 0. And so on your right side is now negative 6x, and on your left side is 1 minus 2, which is a negative 1. All right, and so in order for us to isolate the x, we're going to divide both sides by negative 6. All right, and so now your x is positive 1, 6. So it is positive because signs are the same. When the signs are the same and it is division, it is going to be positive. All right, so let's take a look at example number 2. 1 over x minus 8 minus 1 equals 7 over x minus 8. Now, as you can see, the LCD here is clear and simple. It is just x minus 8. The denominator of this is 1. And so there's 1 in all of these two. So we are going to remove the denominators of these two by multiplying each term by x minus 8. All right, so for this one, it's going to cancel out and that will just become a 1. Here it will be, I will just copy this down later, but here also that will just cancel out and become a 1. All right, so this is going to be 1 minus, there's a 1 in the front that I don't have to write, but there's a 1 there. And you're going to distribute that negative 1 to both the x and the negative 8 later in order for us to isolate the x. And then equals 7. Okay, so let's begin simplifying this. Copy down the 1 and then negative 1 times x is negative x. And then negative 1 times negative 8 is positive 8 equals 7. Okay, now guys, I'm going to apply some kind of shortcut here, and so I'm going to teach you a shortcut. Okay. So this equal sign separates your side into left and right. If you move any variable or any term left to right, right to left, the sign changes. Okay. So now take a look at this negative x right here. If I want that to be positive, which I'm looking for the positive x, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to the other side. That's all I'm going to do. So now that becomes positive x already. Okay. Now, because my x is on the right side, all my numbers should be, all my constants should be on the left side. So I will copy down the 1. I will copy down the positive 8. And I will move my positive 7 to the other side. And so because that is a positive 7, now it will turn to a negative 7. That's all you have to do. And if you want to test it with your inverses, like what we did here on top, you can do that. But again, I'm showing you both this way and the shortcut. So once again, negative x becomes positive if it moves to the other side. Copy down all the other constants, and then the positive 7 will join the other constants to the other side, making it become negative 7. And so you just do the order of operations, which is just operate left to right. So 1 plus 8 is 9, minus 7 is 2. Therefore, x is 2. All right, so example number 3, 5 over x to the third plus 5x squared equals 4 over x plus 5 plus 1 over x squared. All right, so let's take a look at this. Again, many ways to approach this problem. Your main purpose is to just remove the denominator. However, the best way is to look for the LCD. Now, I can see that this is factorable, and I'm going to factor this out only to see if these are contained in it as well, because right now I couldn't tell. All right, so look how amazing this is after I factored out x cubed plus 5x squared. The biggest common factor is x squared. So if I factor out x squared from x cubed, x is left. If I factor out x squared from 5x squared, 5 is left. Look at this. This is your LCD, and it's the LCD because it has both of these. So therefore, this is what we are going to use to multiply all of these terms. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to simplify and cancel out whatever we can cancel. So in other words, for this 2, we can cancel this out now, and 5 is left. And then we can cancel out, in this particular case, this. And so 4x squared is left. Copy down the equal sign and then copy down the plus sign, and this will be canceled out. It won't turn to 0, it turns to a 1. So common misconception is that it turns to 0. No, they don't. They turn to 1. So now this is x plus 5. And now you're going to solve for x. All right, so let us apply the shortcut. So I want all my x's to be positive, and they are already positive on the right side. So I'm keeping them there. And then now the constant, I'm going to move to the other side. And this is a constant which I'm going to move to the other side. Notice that that is positive 5. The moment it moves to the other side, it turns to a negative. And again, if you want to check that with the inverses, then you can minus 5 both sides. It will be the same. Copy down the 5. This goes to the other side and turns to negative 5. Copy the equal sign and then 4x squared plus x. And now 5 minus 5 is 0. 4x squared plus x. Notice that I can do a common monomial factor of x on both of these terms, so I'm going to factor that out. If I factor out x from 4x squared, this turns to 4x. If I factor out x from x, this turns to a 1. All right, and that's still a 0. I can divide both sides by x, and this turns to a 1, but this 0 over x turns to 0. And now I just have 4x plus 1. All right. Again, we're going to remove the positive 1, move it to the other side. But this time, just to balance out things, I'm going to apply the additive inverse. So that is subtracting 1 on both sides. Okay. If I subtract 1 on both sides, this side right here turns to 0 already. And so that is just now a 4x. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. In order for me to isolate my x, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. This turns to x, and your x is negative 1/4. All right, for our last and final example, 1 over m minus 2 plus 1 over m squared minus 7m plus 10 equals 6 over m minus 5. All right, for us to know what to multiply all the terms by, we need to factor out this, because right now I don't even know if these two are contained in it. So for us to factor that out, think of a number that if you multiply will be positive 10, but when you add is negative 7. Okay, so that's a clue for you. Since this is a negative at the middle, you know already that those two numbers have to be both negative. So I'm kind of thinking negative 5 times negative 2. Okay, let us do a quick check. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. Do your FOIL, which is negative 5 times m is negative 5 plus negative 2 times m is negative 2. So negative 5m plus negative 2m is negative 7m. So therefore, that is really our LCD. This is our LCD because as you can see, m minus 2 is contained here and m minus 5 is also contained here. Therefore, we're going to use this to multiply all these by. All right. So now what's going to happen is we are going to do some cancellation. This 2 already cancel out and turns to 1. This whole thing now cancels out and turns to 1. And this 2 cancels out as well. All right, so for this one, this will just be 1 times m minus 5, which will just be m minus 5. And this whole expression right here just turns to a1 because these two are already canceled out. And then you will copy down the equal sign, copy down the x, and then multiply. Make sure that it has a parenthesis, m minus 2. Therefore, in this particular case, we are going to distribute the 6 to the m and the negative 2. All right, so no need for all those spaces. So now, m minus 5 plus 1 equals 6m minus 12. I am kind of thinking that I want my variable to be on this side because it is going to be positive when m goes to the other side and changes to negative. It will still be positive here. Again, there are many ways on how you can approach this. On my end, I just wanted to do some shortcuts. So once again, I'm keeping my 6m here and I'm bringing my other m on the other side. Remember, if this is a positive m and it moves to the other side, it becomes negative like this. Okay, and now we're keeping all the constants on this side. So negative 5 will be copied down, positive 1 will be copied down, and the negative 12 goes to the other side and turns to positive 12. All these shortcuts I'm telling you are based off of additive inverse. So if you want to do it the long way and do your additive inverse, you're going to be fine. We will get the same answers. So now this is going to be 5m. And this is now order of operations. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4 plus 12 is positive 8. Divide 5 on both sides. And now our answer is m is equal to 8 over 5.